a salad a day will keep the doctor away. So that's actually one of the principles of a nutritarian diet is have your at least a salad a day. You're getting a raw leafy green. It's vegetable. It counts.
Welcome, badass athletes. This is Coach Shangrila. We are here again for another live show. And this time, we're going to be talking about something very interesting, actually. We're going to talk about how to use the Nutritarian-Vegan diet as a strong athlete. And today, we have an opportunity to have Ivan Blazquez, plant-based personal trainer, nutrition expert. He is a former pro-physique athlete. In fact, he has 14 years of bodybuilding competition experience. Wow, that's a lot. And most importantly, he's also a triathlete. He is a researcher. He has a bachelor's and master's degree in exercise physiology. He actually even wrote 4 research publications in exercise science. And he is vegan for 8 years now. Let's welcome Ivan Blazquez. Woo! Welcome, Ivan. How are you? We are so
great.
To have you.
Oh man, that was like a stellar introduction. That was epic. I wouldn't expect anything less though, so I really appreciate it, Shangrila.
Thank you, Ivan. I mean, a lot of my athletes have been like asking me about vegan diet or, hey coach, I am a triathlete. I want to do endurance, but what kind of vegan? How can I have vegan? And my experience as a triathlete, I had vegan months. It didn't last. Yes. So I'm not a vegan. I am a triathlete, and so But let me tell you how I actually met Ivan. It was back in 2016. When I was training for the Red Bull Trans-Siberian Extreme, I said, I need to know more about what am I going to eat? And, Ivan was one of them. And because I was interested about vegan diet at the time, and also because I was interested of actually lifting weights more. That was actually the start when I started lifting weights on top of triathlon. So without further ado, Ivan, let me ask you, so we are going to be talking about Nutritarian-Vegan diet. I mean, when I met you, that was actually the first time I heard of Nutritarian. How about for those who are actually tuning in, let's understand, what is Nutritarian?
So it's basically like a vegan diet that is nutrient dense.
Okay.
Where you get the most nutrient bang for the calorie buck. In other words, rather than a white potato, you choose a sweet potato, or rather than a sweet potato, you choose a purple sweet potato. Wow. So you're eating foods that are packed with nutrients, and that's essentially it right there. It kind of almost eliminates the junk food vegan caveat that comes with veganism, but you can certainly still have the junk foods. Like for instance, you can have like donuts, but it could be like perhaps flourless donuts made of maybe purple sweet potato, wow. Milled purple sweet potato or something like that. And you can have a coconut glazing on top or something like that. So it's trying to make the food nutritious as well as delicious.
So much more of whatever, like the good nutrition already, it becomes much better because it's just nutrient dense. And what I like about it is like, it sounds good too. Like sweet potato donut. I don't think I've ever had that. So excellent. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, I have videos where I've eaten pizza, taco. You can have like I haven't tried it yet, but if I were so interested in trying, I would get like blue corn taco shell. So it's got like some antioxidants plus anthocyanins from the purple corn. So now you're punching up the nutrition of what's usually just overlooked as like a carb. It's carbs plus some antioxidants. Then you probably could have some sort of jackfruit meat or something. And I mean, you could really make it taste delicious. I've had hamburgers, fries. I even had an egg, mung bean eggs. So, I mean, all the traditional classic junk foods, you can make them nutritarian. it takes a little creativity.
Yeah, I could imagine. So now I ask you about nutritarian. I know a lot of people already know vegan, but just for the other people who's actually kind of confused between vegetarian and vegan, what is vegan diet?
So vegan is 0% animal products.
Gotcha.
Vegetarian could be, there's different kinds of vegetarian. I think there's lacto-avo, which is just the only animal products would be dairy and eggs. There's a pescatarian, which is I think just fish.
Yeah.
And so there's different versions of it.
Gotcha. So I mean, let me ask you, I know you said 8 years of being vegan. So before being vegan, how were you eating? So what do you eat?
Okay, so I've gone full circle. I was actually just eating a regular healthy diet throughout my life.
Sure.
But there were times where I tried to, when I got into bodybuilding, I tried to put on size. So I got into some meat and so forth. And then, different things occurred. I felt like I was getting stiffer, digestive issues and whatnot. And so I went even blood pressure issues, just unstable sometimes. But I started to go vegetarian. I noticed some improvements. And then in 2012, I was still vegetarian. And then in 2013, I think I got like a stomach bug or something. And I went to the Whole Foods to get coconut yogurt instead of dairy, right? Because I was like, it's soft on the stomach, because I usually would eat yogurt.
Yeah.
And then after that got better, I was like, well, let me just keep having the coconut yogurt for a little while. And then after that, I was like, well, maybe I don't really need the dairy yogurt as much as I think I did. And there was that and cheese were the last two animal products to go. And particularly cheese is pretty tough to let go. And so once I got to that point, and then I also saw these bodybuilders from Australia, and he was 80% raw vegan, and he was shredded to the bone. My goal was to get, about 80%. He still had some animal products, but I just needed some sort of proof that you can get like ridiculously shredded on a plant-based diet, right? Because people might think the carbs could potentially prevent that, right? Well, this guy was there. I mean, striated glutes, it was insane. And so I went ahead and was like, that's confidence. I'm going to try. And then I don't know if it's coincidence, but I ended up getting the leanest I've ever been in 2013 on skin folds. I was like down to like, I think 4.6% body fat, which, I mean, if there was another test, I might have been 9% or 8%, with a more stringent test, but even still, I mean, I was lean, that's for sure. Very lean. Yeah.
Wow. So it sounds like it was more of out of curiosity, and that's how you got started with the vegan diet. Is that right, Ivan?
Yes. It was that, and
health reasons.
Yes, health reasons. I always knew plant-based was healthy, and then once I got got into the shape that I never thought I could get into, I was hooked.
You wanted
and then everything else kind of fell into place with that.
Gotcha.
But that's what worked for me. Everyone has a different story.
Yeah. Well, let's welcome Naga, Simon, Chris. If you're listening to the live video right now, #live, and if you're listening to replay, #replay. So far, if you're just tuning in, we have Yvonne, and we're talking about Nutritarian-Vegan diet. So that's very interesting. So there's no fear at all. It's more of like, hey, let me try. And it's not like you're sticking to it. You just wanted to try and see how it goes, right? Is that what happened?
Yes, and everything just kind of started to build momentum from that point.
Gotcha.
I started to dig into the books and the research and the literature, and everything's just started to kind of. I mean, there was a common thread that doctors. One thing. I mean, there's controversy in nutrition. I understand this.
Sure.
But one thing we can agree on is doctors tell us to eat our fruits and vegetables, right? Mm-hmm. So those are plant-based foods. And those should really be kind of like the centerpiece of one's diet. And so, I mean, it just kind of clicked at that point. And I just kind of continued to learn and study, and I'm still learning and studying. So Gotcha.
So you mentioned about you being a bodybuilder, and if I got it correctly, is it 14 years of bodybuilding experience,
Yes.
right, Yvonne?
Yeah.
So 8 years of vegan. So it looks like bodybuilder first, you had that different kind of diet, and then you went into 8-year vegan now. And then when did triathlon come into place? Was it after many of those bodybuilding experience first?
This started in 2010. And I think this slide will be also helpful because it shows that, you know, I look like a bodybuilder running a triathlon. This is like, it's the best picture I've ever had taken of me during a race. So sometimes I see it and I still don't believe it's me.
Looking good.
So thank you. So that's me and my friend Evan. We're doing City Club. That was back in 2012. But what happened was in 2010, we made a pact. I was bodybuilding. He was doing cycling. He got a road bike.
Gotcha.
And I was trying to get him to bodybuild because this dude was naturally just lean and muscular.
Yeah.
And so, but he didn't want to do it. You know, he was just, wasn't really feeling it. And then he came up, he told me, if you were to start riding with me, if you got a road bike, and you start like doing rides with me, I'll compete.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
Literally to the bike shop, literally within the next couple of weeks, I bought a road bike, and then he signed up for his first competition. And that's how, and then
that's
after
amazing.
that, yes, thank you. After that, we decided to take the endurance cycling to the next level. We decided, why not do a triathlon?
Okay.
And we did our first triathlon. It was 2010. It was called Snakebite.
Gotcha.
In Morgan City. Okay. And then after that first race, I was hooked.
Nice.
I was hooked. And I also noticed that the triathlon training helped my conditioning and bodybuilding.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of times when I would do swims, I would get blown up. I would look like I was pumping up in the weight room. My lats would just get all spread. Yeah. And then when I would bike, I would feel like my legs got pumped up. And then I started seeing, like, at races, like a lot of triathletes have great legs, you know, from the running and the cycling. They have great, like, lats and shoulders from the swimming. They have great abs, especially the ones who are finishing at the front, because that high intensity, you know, that high aerobic capacity, energy expenditure, they're just like lean machines, you know. All of that just kind of came in together. And I'm like, how does this not, I mean, it works for me. Triathlon gets me leaner. Bodybuilding makes me look jacked as a triathlete. I mean, I like it.
So, well, there are myths actually, you know, like, so the fear of triathlete when they lift weight, they will say, I will bulk up. Okay. Or the fear of bodybuilders who train for long distance triathlon, they will say, I don't want to lose my muscles. So, you know, the approach varies per individual, but are these two statements or these fears, are they true, or does it depend on each individual? That I will bulk up for triathlete, and then the, you know, bodybuilders, I'm going to lose muscle? Or is there a balance? Can you expand more on that one, Yvonne?
Yes. So I think first the person has to be a little crazy enough to want to do both, right? So there's that. The other side of it is, yes, it depends on the person. There's anecdotal observation where you will see some people get stringy by doing a lot of cardio, and then conversely, you know, they may lose muscle. And so as far as bulking up and triathlon slowing you down, I don't know. I think that's kind of like maybe old school coaches' concerns and worries. Okay. As far as what the research shows in regards to bulking up, that's a simple solution. You can just manipulate your program design. So for instance, you could do like maybe not as much volume, but just focus on like neuromuscular adaptation with training, improve your muscle nerve connection, right? And what it does is it's been shown to improve economy. So in other words, it makes you feel lighter on your feet. When your muscles are stronger, you're going to feel lighter on your feet, which improves economy. It makes it feel easier. And it also can reduce injury risk. It improves your tissue tolerance. So when you're running, when you have stronger leg muscles, they actually help to stabilize your skeletal structure better, and they just absorb. They're like shock absorbers. And when you have stronger shock absorbers and better shock absorbers, it's going to pay off big time. And you're going to be pumping out way more watts on the bike, having strong legs, strong hamstrings, calves, right? You'll be able to pull that water and move it out the way with strong lats. So, and all it takes is 1 to 2 days a week of spin training. That's all it takes.
Good. Awesome. Well, I totally agree with you, Yvonne. I mean, because when I don't look like I bulk up because my, the strength portion is something that we can restructure in a way that can be incorporated with the triathlon. So yeah, so to me, I agree with you, I think it's a myth. I think it depends on how the person actually reconstruct or construct the actual training. Good, awesome. So let me ask another question here that just came up. So if you guys are just tuning in, hashtag live, or if it's replay, hashtag replay, I'm gonna continue asking questions to Yvonne. So let's see. So another question that I got actually is that nutrition tends to change fast, which it does, because or maybe it has happened already. Their nutrition, they talk about it. There's different diets, but now there's like some names already, like for example, ketogenic. Before there was no ketogenic, terminology, and it just came out. Then now, but I wanted to ask you more on the Nutritarian-Vegan diet. Are there any, does it also go fast or change fast in terms of studies, or what's new out there in terms of Nutritarian-Vegan diet?
Well, that's a good question. And I will tell you that it's interesting, but it's not really researched as well. There's only been a few studies that have been published on it, and that's a surprise to me. But that being said, a lot of the foundational concepts about nutrient-dense foods, there have been studies on that, like fruits, vegetables, beans, nuts, and seeds, all these things, right? So I don't think much has changed in terms of, a lot's changed, I understand, but I think there's a lot of interesting aspects to that. And let me just delve into something that I wasn't planning to delve into, but I'm going to make it brief. I do what's known as protein enhanced cardio or caloric restriction mimetic cardio. So what that is rather than do fasted, I actually will consume a nutritarian nutrition. So I'll have like a couple teaspoons of wheat germ, or I will have green tea, or I'll have kale powder. I'll have plant protein powder. So these things act to protect muscle, also to reduce oxidative stress while you're in a semi-fasted state. And I never skip breakfast. I usually have breakfast after. Other workouts, I would do fed workouts. Like when I race, I never do fasted. I'm like carved up to the gills, like beet juice loaded carbs, tons of carbs. And I know I'm carved up because I'm usually about 2 or 3 pounds heavier on race day.
That's awesome. I'm actually taking notes as you go.
Thank you.
In your one of your websites I looked at is that you mentioned a lot about beet juice, kale powder. Also, do you have any like superfood, or like because I know there's gel, right, that usually a lot of endurance outfits use. But what is a Nutritarian-Vegan diet?
Yes.
Like in terms of, let's say you have let's say super sprint triathlon tomorrow or triathlon tomorrow. Is there anything that you change in what you eat the day before? And how about the breakfast? Is there anything different than your usual normal day?
Yes. So, yes, a couple things different. Number one, I'll load up on the carbs. So for me, I focus on moderate to low glycemic carbohydrates. And particularly, I like Ezekiel raisin bread. In fact, I will actually increase the amount of slices I have per day as I'm getting closer to a race. Gotcha. And also like boiled sweet potatoes. And what I do is I just put peanut butter. I use PB2 powder, which is a low-fat peanut butter, and I just whatchamacallit. It's like when you reconstitute it with water, it actually becomes peanut butter, but it's low in fat. And I put blueberries on top, and I just eat it like that. I beet juice load. Thank you. Yeah, it is. And then I beet juice load for like a week or so, and I increase it to like half a cup to probably a cup 2 days before a race.
Gotcha.
And also lots of frozen purple grapes in my soy milkshakes, because they're rich in resveratrol, which has been shown to improve VO2 max and fight oxidative stress.
Wow.
And also like pickle juice with capers. So it's actually a nice mix. I believe they're the richest food source of quercetin, which is a flavonoid that's been shown to improve endurance performance.
Did you
And the
say,
pickle juice is for obviously prevention of cramping.
Yep.
Yeah.
So pickle juice,
Yeah.
and then in terms of the beet juice, if I don't, you
Capers.
don't, capers too. Capers, you
Yeah.
said. Do you eat that
Yeah,
as
and
a
also, well,
snack,
you
or just how
Yeah,
do you do it?
so the capers I add to salads. It's like a
Oh,
Caesar
okay.
salad,
Yeah,
or
sure.
I will make edamame mung bean pasta with some
Yummy.
vegan meatballs and throw some capers in there.
I love mung bean.
And then before the race, I actually did it in a Sugar Man video from this year. I will take it as a shot with pickle juice.
That's awesome.
But I also want to, as far as the gel that I use Muir Energy gels. They're whole food based gels.
Yep. I know that too.
Good. Yeah.
They're actually in California. Muir gels. Good. So do you, let me ask you, so you don't do all those powders that's, bought in groceries, or do you, like, for example, electrolyte branded, those
okay,
things?
so yes, occasionally Beet Elite.
Okay. Did you say Beet Elite?
And the other thing I'll do that's a powder. Yes, it's a beet juice powder.
Yeah. Okay.
The other thing I'll do is fermented chocolate soy. It's a what is it? It's a powder from what is it? The Firmalife, I think. I learned about that in 2019 at a conference. I actually found that it improved VO2 max, and it also made improved cardiovascular efficiency. The cyclists 5 less beats per minute heart rate. There was an improvement in efficiency. Huh. It could have been the cacao. It could have been the cacao, the chocolate, which is like it helps to boost nitric oxide, vasodilator, better blood flow, better oxygen flow delivery, and so forth. So.
Are you guys taking notes? Because she's giving a lot of the superfoods that would improve your VO2 max. I'm actually like typing every time. You mentioned beet juice, and you said you double up with the load during the week.
Yes.
Does that mean that you always have beet juice on every single day, or just when you have a race? Because you have to have it.
Yes. Good question. So just for health reasons, I'll consume it from time to time, like half a cup. Maybe like 1 week I'll have it, another week I won't.
Okay.
For a race, I have it.
Okay.
I even have it for bodybuilding shows, believe it or not. It actually is a bodybuilding superfood. And let me explain to you why. And you can actually eat beets. Sure. If you don't want like the juice, you can eat the beets.
Yeah.
So beets allow you to get more out of every breath you take. So for instance, every time we take a breath, the body uses a certain amount of oxygen, right? And some of it gets lost. In other words, heat is generated versus energy. Mm-hmm. Beet juice has been shown to, at least in one study and a few others, to tighten that regulation to where we're getting more oxygen out of each breath and less heat being lost. So it improves our efficiency. And that's why they find that people can actually they actually found, I think it was a deep sea divers who had beet juice were able to stay underwater longer. Mm-hmm. So that means you're getting more out of that breath. The other ones came up early. So it makes you more efficient. Yep. And it's good for heart health too. So it's like a double. It's like a win. It's like a 2-for-1.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I mean, there's a lot of research on the beet juice, but other athletes, they're just like, oh, it's race day, I'm gonna start drinking beet juice. But it does take some time to actually get the effect.
Yes. So it can help instantly. In fact, it's almost. I think there was one study that talked about it being almost like it works within 30 minutes, like almost like a drug. But there was another study, I think it was a meta-analysis that found that chronic, like for instance, loading it a week out was shown to have more of a performance enhancing effect than just short term. So if you missed out on the long term, go ahead and have it before. It's going to help you. But if you want to like maximize, you probably want to have it a little longer so it can build up.
Got it. And also, I do know in terms of whole food and also vegan diet is pretty good in anti-inflammatory food. So in terms of like right after a race, what's your routine in terms of having, like, what kind of food do you eat so you can recover fast?
Okay, so usually that's raw garlic in hummus with a Brazil nut, as well as a couple of spices like turmeric and black pepper. So garlic is like a superfood. It's unbelievable. It's an alien vegetable. The benefits are just too long to get into here. But what I do is, it's actually my most popular video. It's got 500,000 views. And I think it's just because it's kind of like, raw garlic. This guy's going to eat it. Yeah, I just get Whole Foods hummus.
Oh, come on.
And I actually have it down to science. I actually know that when you get a bulb, the bigger cloves on the outside, and as you work your way in, the cloves get smaller. So usually when I eat the clove on the outside, it's half a clove, not a whole clove. And what I do is I literally cut it raw, because what happens is as you cut it, there's this natural chemical reaction with so allanase is actually allan, and then allanase, the enzyme, catalyzes it and becomes allicin, which is like the main beneficial compound in garlic. But it's like 10 to 15 minutes it peaks, and then after that it starts to degrade. So eating it raw almost maximizes that antioxidant bioavailability and absorption. And then with the hummus, you don't even notice you're eating raw garlic because it really blends in well, And then with the Brazil nut, it's the richest source of selenium, which increases glutathione, which is one of the body's antioxidants. It's part of a pathway. Nice. So when I want to speed up recovery, it's that, and as well as cherry juice. Mm-hmm. And lots of green leafies, salads. Gotcha. And just eating normally the way I would.
Gotcha. Do you double up also in protein intake right after triathlon or bodybuilding, or same way of how you're eating regularly?
Yes, great question. So usually the protein increases after my weight training workouts. So if I have a post-workout meal, it'll have higher protein, or pre-workout higher protein, to drive up protein synthesis, and which is obviously correlated with muscle building. So I want to optimize that window during a workout. But typically it's going to be, for me, between 1 to 1.7 grams per kilogram of body weight, not pound, per kilogram. Yeah. And protein, it's not a lot. It's a decent amount. Do you know what 1 gram per pound is? That's like 2.2 grams per kg. That's definitely a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, 1 to 1.7.
It's not so bad.
Yeah. No, it's probably for me, that's probably between 75 to maybe 130 grams of protein a day. So it's not 130 every day. It's probably between 90 to, on low days, maybe 90, high days, close to 130. So. Gotcha.
All right. So we're actually more question here. How to get vegan vitamin B12 naturally without supplement? So they're asking about vitamin B12 without supplement. What do you use?
Yeah. So as far as what I know, because I'm not a doctor, so I'm just going to share what I've learned. But taking a B12 just once a week as an insurance policy is kind of a safe haven to insure it. The only way to really know is to obviously have your B12 checked and to see what the level is and if it's normal. But there are fortified, like lots of plant milks, nutritional yeast, particularly I think it's Bragg's nutritional yeast. It's got like 400% B12. There's some research that says chlorella and seaweeds, but those might be analogs, which means that they're almost like facades. Like they look like B12, but they actually don't actually positively impact your levels. Also, really just taking a multivitamin semi-regularly should cover it. So all those avenues should do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just multivitamin. Okay.
There's different ways a person can do it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
On the safe side, and what research has shown ensures that we get enough, and it's painless. It's like a pill a week. It's not bad at all.
Okay.
For all the benefits we get, believe me, that's the least of my concerns.
Gotcha. Let me see. Okay, so another question here. During the triathlon, how much nutrition do you pack in your transition bags or bike shirt? So everyone, and how often do you consume the nutrition during your high intensity zones? So that is the question. I guess
so
yeah, go ahead, Yvonne.
Yes, it depends on the duration. So usually I don't do long races. I usually do maybe at most an hour and a half. But I found, and most people say you don't need it if it's under an hour and a half. I don't really agree with that. And there's actually some studies that have shown that even for, like, for instance, there was a study that showed that consuming a gel for like a 2K row, 2,000 meters, which is only 5 minutes, boosted performance. Okay. The more accessible and the quicker your body can use carbohydrate, which when you consume it, it's exogenous, your body can just extract it and pull it and use it versus breaking it down from stored carbs, right?
Yep.
So I have a gel probably on the bike. I actually have it before a race sometimes. I have just squeeze half of it down, put the rest of it on the bike, and probably just based on how I'm pacing, I will make a decision, but I always get it in early rather than late. Because if you're late, you're late, too late.
Yeah.
Right. So I'd rather get it in early. And that's really all I use. I'm carved up enough to where I don't really have to go that much heavy with the fuel, just 1 or 2 gels for a race, and that's it.
Yeah, good. I mean, especially if you're doing a high intensity, especially on the way you perform, Yvonne, I mean, yeah, you would need nutrition. Other people, they're like, oh, it's short, I don't need it because it's only 1 hour, 1.5. But I think it also depends on the nutrition. Totally agree with you. Good.
Let me just add,
go ahead, Yvonne.
I wanted to say that I think that it's not just glycogen sparing. I also think the high rate of energy expenditure and pace, I think it really helps. Even if you have full glycogen, it keeps you moving fast without leveling off your rate or your pace. At least I find.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. Let me see. Any particular brands for beet supplements that you use, Yvonne? I know there's Soar Phyto and Beet Elite, or can we juice our own? Can make our juice our own. Do you make your own juice, Yvonne?
I do sometimes.
It takes a lot of beets to get that.
Yes, I actually don't make my own beet juice. I don't know why. It tastes kind of weird or something. It's like almost too.
Yeah,
it's almost like metallic almost. Sometimes it's a very earthy, very earthy. But what I will say is I use either Bada, or actually what I've been liking is Whole Foods. They have this brand that has lemon juice with it, so it tastes really delicious. So I just get theirs. I don't know the exact name of the company, but it might be Lakewood or something, but it's at Whole Foods.
Okay. All right. So if you're just tuning in right now, #live, and we are with Yvonne, a nutrition expert, and have a lot of experience on vegan diet or Nutritarian-Vegan diet. Just put more questions if you have any. And if you're listening, replay, #replay. I still have more questions, Yvonne. So let me see. Considering that's good because you're helping us. All right. So now I know that you did, and actually I have a YouTube video here. You did, oh my goodness. This one is I look at one of your, actually a couple of videos in your YouTube. You did bodybuilding and a triathlon within 24 hours. Does that include the dressing up and everything? So let me just show you guys, if you haven't checked out Yvonne's YouTube video, he has actually a lot of subscribers, but one of his YouTube video, actually, he did this one only 2 years ago or less than 2 years ago. And this one wherein he competed both bodybuilding, and then the next thing is that triathlon. Is that right, Yvonne? Do you mind telling us the story of that, and how did it go?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
It went really well. Okay, so this was back in 19, but me and my friend did it in 2011. We were like both euphoric and stuff, and almost like probably hallucinating. We're so high on the experience because it was like basically doing what people would perceive as an oxymoron, right?
Yeah, who does it?
They kind of seem to go against each other, right? Like big muscle, and then you're trying to like do endurance, triathlon, and vice versa. Yeah, so the bodybuilding show was at 9 a.m. on Saturday, and the triathlon was 8 a.m. on Sunday. And it has to kind of work itself out to where they're kind of close. So the bodybuilding show was here in Metairie, and the triathlon was in Jennings, and the other one was want to say in Woolworth. I think it's by Alexandria. And me and my friend drove to do that one. We drove overnight, not overnight, but we got there kind of late. The I-10 was closed, go figure, right? The only day we need to get there early, get there fast, the thing's gonna be closed. So we have to like double back and we get there like probably 2 a.m, maybe slept like, maybe lucky if we got 5 hours, but we both were so high on adrenaline because this was like, we thought no one, we actually, just so you know, we actually submitted it to the Guinness Book of World Records. And unfortunately, they didn't accept the ticket or something, because how do you top that, right? Like you do it in 23, 22. I mean, then it's not something you can really track or whatever. But yeah, and we did it, and it was fun. We enjoyed doing it. I just think that it works for me, and I still like doing it. I like both modes of training. They both complement each other. They really do. I understand there's thoughts about how they might interfere, and perhaps that's possible, but some studies have shown that they actually interact, and they actually can augment each other.
Gotcha.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, Ivan, did you eat a lot right after your bodybuilding, before your triathlon? So, because you did that within 24 hours. So after the bodybuilding, eat a lot like right away, or drink a lot of water? How did you do it?
Yeah, so for the bodybuilding show, I don't really do like a depletion per se.
Okay.
For me, it's simply about getting lean enough, and then it's about, actually it works out, because when I compete in a bodybuilding show, when I do well, I'm carved up. And so the posing doesn't really deplete much glycogen. I mean, it can, but a lot of shows, they don't really kind of have you up there too long. So, you know, I just kept eating normal after the bodybuilding show. It was perfect. I didn't have to beet juice load or anything. I was doing it for the show. So it just kind of naturally carried over into the race too.
Wow. So, wow, that's amazing. It's actually very unique. So that's why I wanted to show it. So in terms of the training, I mean, I don't know if you're competing right now this year, since especially with the COVID, but how often do you train and strength training and triathlon training? Is it the same intensity on both when you have races, or do you race and at the same time go compete on the show, or is that only one time that you did that?
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and explain that, but if we could put slide 3 up, this would be a good time to do it, because there's a study by Dr. Kevin Marak. It's awesome. I love the title. What I do is, my current training is I do weights on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's my split. And on Tuesday, Thursday, and on the weekend. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, I do my triathlon training. So currently I'm training for a duathlon. So right now I'm just kind of doing some bricks, you know, some bike runs, and then also running off the bike. That's critical. I've been looking into that. It's about the final run. And yeah, that's what I do. And sometimes I'll swim after my weight training workout. So there's my swim training for triathlon.
Gotcha. I saw one of your pictures also. I think it's in the, I mean, do you do some kind of like yoga or mobility workouts as well on top of your bodybuilding and your...
Yes, I do a lot of prehab type, preventative type training. So a lot of stabilization stuff for the pelvis, the hips, low back, core, rotator cuff. I do all those things probably on my Tuesday and Thursday day, because that's more of a cardio day. Sometimes I do it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But like I said, the way I see it is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is like weightlifting, but it's doing two things. It's improving my muscle mass. It's improving my power output, and my it's injury prevention. And it's also improving my economy or efficiency of endurance training. And it's also, endurance training is helping lean me out with the weight training, kind of both working together.
Actually, I've met some other triathlon coaches, and you know, some of them, they don't believe in strength, and I'm not one of them. I do believe in strength training, and it has helped me as an athlete as well. But I coach my athletes the same as like what you do, you know, like strength training is important, and at the same time, those mobility, those yoga exercises, those are really, really important. So we're on the same page, Ivan. I'm really liking this one. It's needed.
I've seen your videos. I've seen your videos with your weight training. It's impressive.
I'm trying, Ivan.
And you're trying.
It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. I don't know. But yeah,
all the accomplishments you've done, and this, wow.
Well, it actually, for the rest of the others, you know, with the multi-day Ironman distance that I've done, the strength training does complement it. It makes us stronger and more, it helps with injury prevention. So yeah.
Good.
Let me see. Just last question here. So I know a lot of
Really?
triathletes.
I'd love
I
to hear
hope so.
more. This is good.
I think
know.
there's a couple more actually. So
Good.
so let me see. So a lot of triathletes that are, they're very busy because I mean, you know, swim, bike, run, and some of them would be like have kids, have work, and then now they're training for Ironman. And some of them are so stressed out, or some of them are just having a hard time sleeping. In terms of, in your perspective, with the Nutritarian-Vegan diet, do you have any recommendation for those athletes to help them out relax, or sleep better, enhance the sleep quality?
Yes. So I'm a big fan of cherry juice. That's just, I mean, you know, I think, you know, the reason why is because it's actually one of the few, but also it's a rich source of melatonin. So rather than take melatonin, cherry juice is like a shot of melatonin, and it doesn't take a lot. But the other thing is, I've met, she's her name is Sleep for Sport. Her name is Dr. Amy Bender. She's a sleep scientist. And I've learned a lot about, for instance, sleep banking and sleep extension. So I like to do sleep banking. I like to, you know, and also do naps. I was actually, I would feel like guilty about naps, but I actually do them. Well,
that's nice.
She
power naps.
Well, she calls it, well, sleep is like vitamin Z. It's a vitamin. It's free, and we can do it whenever we can, and any little bit counts. So if you sleep 6 hours, if you take a 20-minute nap, you have now bumped that up to 6 hours and 20 minutes. It all adds up.
Makes a difference.
Over time, it'll add up. So, and as far as foods, just Google serotonin precursors. So these are foods that, like pistachios is one that comes to mind. There's some others that can help your body to produce serotonin, which I believe is also a precursor to melatonin, the sleep hormone. And also getting a lot of daylight early in the day, which helps your body set its circadian rhythm. And she actually has a webinar online. I could probably send you the link after this. I would recommend. She posts about sleep all the time. She's Sleep for Sport on Instagram.
Okay. What's the scientist name for that sleep expert?
Amy Bender.
Amy Bender. I'll face touch with you so we can get that information.
She'll help you if you've had a bender. That's a bad pun. Okay. Amy Bender.
Oh my goodness. How long is the adapting period for if they change to a vegan diet usually? Or I think that depends on the person. Like when you transition to vegan, is that 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, so
you start craving for meat.
so it depends on the person, but the way I like to look at it is that, like your question earlier about vegan, vegetarian, I have a saying that not everyone's going to be 100% plant-based, but everyone can be plant-based. What that means is you don't have to feel like you need to be vegan if that's not for you. But if you go plant-based, whether it be 60% of your diet is plant-based or 80% or 90, right? We know that there's significant scientific agreement with plant-based nutrition, and particularly fruits and vegetables and beans and whole grains, right? And so forth. So I would say just try and get into the plant slant. Whether you go vegan or not, that's kind of just a choice each person is going to make on their own. But certainly if you do, it is becoming in vogue, and it's something that really more people, I've looked at the latest data, it's actually increased the amount of people who are vegan now. So it's great. But like I said, it's not for everyone. That's totally fine. But everyone can be plant-based to some degree. So there you go.
Let's welcome Cherry, Mel, Cruz, Mauricio. If you guys have any other questions, he has said so much already, like the superfoods. It's not really just about, vegan. The foods, the things that he had mentioned are like superfoods because of the nutrients that he actually has in them. If they have other questions, Yvonne, how can they contact you? Or is that the website that you mentioned to me? Let me just show it up. So this is one of his websites. So this is how you can contact Ivan. We're gonna put this one also when we post a replay of it. And also he has a YouTube videos where you can actually already learn from him. He's also in Facebook. But is there any other way to contact you, Ivan?
Instagram, Facebook,
okay. Instagram,
YouTube.
Facebook, YouTube. All right, good. Well, before we end,
and then also,
okay, good. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think one of those has my email address, so you know you end up.
We'll put that there too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clinicaltrainer@hotmail.com. Clinicaltrainer@hotmail.com.
Clinicaltrainer@hotmail.com. Wow.
Yes. Thank you.
There's no more Hotmail. I'm just teasing you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
being a hot mess.
No. So before we end, Ivan, it's been a pleasure. But before we end, we want to pick just a tiny bit of your brain. What are the top 3 things that you could advise a triathlete who maybe, may want to do strength or not, but more interested with Nutritarian-Vegan diet? What would you advise them? Top 3 things.
I would say that focus on unprocessed whole foods and shop around the peripheral of a grocery store, which is what a produce is. It's simple. A salad a day will keep the doctor away. So that's actually one of the principles of a nutritarian diet, is have your at least a salad a day. You're getting a raw leafy green. It's a vegetable. It counts. The other thing is, I guess, consistency, really, but also goal setting. Goals drive motivation. We've heard it before, but when you see yourself progressing, it opens a whole new world in terms of your energy, your motivation, your drive, and your perspective. So, and it also lends itself to consistency, at least for me. Some people are intrinsically motivated, others are extrinsically. I guess extrinsic would be goal setting, but intrinsic is also the process. So,
right.
I probably digressed. And then the third would be, you asked me about nutritarian diet, and getting into that in triathlon.
Yeah.
And weightlifting.
Good.
Okay. Weightlifting, look, you can just do body weight exercises. If you're uncomfortable with weights, you can do push-ups, pull-ups, body weight rows, crunches, planks, squats, split lunges, those kinds of things. Keep the weights light if that's, but I would tell you that it doesn't take a lot. Literally once or twice a week of weight training will have a profound impact on your performance in triathlon. It makes you more efficient. Also will help with leaning a person out, to be honest with you, because it's going to protect your muscle. Yes. So that's one last thing, is that when we exercise, we drive up protein burning rate, protein oxidation rates. So protein for an endurance athlete is important, and weight training is important too, because weight training improves your body's ability to absorb protein, and it also helps protect your muscle, right? Because you're telling your body, hey, don't get rid of this muscle for your endurance training. Right. You need it for your weightlifting, which is maybe once or twice a week. All it takes is once or twice a week, and that's what leads to the toning, because you're going to maintain your muscle, and it's also going to prevent your metabolism from perhaps dropping if you start to burn too much protein with endurance exercise. So weight training is very protective of muscle and our joints.
Yep. Sounds
shock
good.
Absorbers.
Awesome. That's a lot of information within a short amount of time. Thank you so much, Ivan. It went by fast, actually.
Yeah, I feel like it wasn't enough, but
well, we're gonna invite you again, Ivan, for sure. Or in your another bodybuilding / triathlon in 24 hours or 12 hours. I don't know what's up next. But again, welcome. Thank you so much, Ivan. Until
thank you.
Time, I hope we have you again. All right, everyone.
This was a pleasure. I'm very grateful. And so I thank you very much. You guys are great.
Awesome.
See you.
All right. See you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.